especially for the last couple of seasons. But unfortunately, they did fall last week, so they are 0-1, looking for a bit of a bounce back win. And High Tide, Alabama Roll Tide. Everyone understands what that means. I believe this is their first season, either first or second season. I'm not too sure, but they're the new kids on the block, trying to. They also were down. They also lost their first set, so looking to get a nice bounce back, feel good win. So really, you can think about it, is you have kind of the old guard and the new guard. You have like the old guard being Crab and Go. They've been here for a long time. They've been here for a while. They kind of know what it's like around here. Versus High Tide, looking to make their place, looking to get established. And you know what? I'm here for it.
They're trying to cement a little bit of a legacy for themselves in Division 2 this season. I remember Crab and Go has actually gone to a couple of lands as well. The locals near Houston, H-Town Splashdown. You can catch them a couple of times on stream there. I do not remember what they run at all. It's been a minute since the last H-Town. So there it is on the screen. Some pretty interesting comps here. I'm noticing no Snipe Rider, so a nice bit of change of pace compared to the rest of the meta. I see a Rapid Pro on one side, a Vanilla Tri-Stringer on the other side on Crab and Go. That's something that you almost never see here, Topic.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I see it. I see a lot of. My teammate is a Tri-Stringer one trick, but we don't even have time, as both these teams are just ready to go. We're gonna see very short range comp from, I believe that's going to be High Tide in the yellow with the S-Blast plus a Dapple Duelist, kind of forcing that really aggressive playstyle from the side of Crab and Go, kind of a meta comp. But interestingly, no backline, no cooler, so they're gonna have to be really play aggressively and really smart. But so far, High Tide doing a great job of punishing that.
Key thing with playing coolerless is just playing around the other team not having cooler. While UH did try to go for something here, it didn't quite work out, and that's going to lead to High Tide getting a couple of clams in the basket, already down to 60 points, so already breaking that first kind of barrier of a really solid push. Just backing up for now, with the E leader on their team. You don't need to overstep as much, because you can get picks like that from Lime. Excellent work there, and just try and keep this momentum going. Only 1 minute elapsed on the timer, but I mean, they still have full control of this game so far.
I mean, yeah, shout out to Lime once again, just being that leader. You see right there, getting a nice pick, taking out one of those strikes is very helpful. Just keeping Houston kind of pushed back is working out really well, because now if you're Houston, you have to dedicate a lot of resources to move that leader or the rest of their team, and so far doing a great job of that, as two members are going to go down for the side of University of Alabama, looking for even more. Java going in, not quite able to get the pick, popping a force bubble, able to get one, looking for the double kill, is able to get a lot of damage, not the kill just yet, but doing just enough to try to get their team set up, try to get their team in a good spot. But once again, that leader right there is the reason why it's going to be very, very hard for Houston to get any further.
Incredible work stabilizing from both Java and Lime there on the leader, shutting down that splashdown. LPS is able to get underneath the basket for just a moment there for the side of Crab and Go, but they're not able to find anything with it. Apollo just trying to space out Aiko just a little bit more here, looking for a fight to get back into mid for High Tide. Not going to be able to find anything just yet. Maybe something onto this dropping Nautilus? No, not quite. This S-Blast is playing very reserved, just kind of letting their leader and the decav do a lot of the heavy lifting here, and it's paid off pretty well as two picks go in their favor. Apollo almost has a power clam too, and so they're playing this economy really well on the side of High Tide as well, and they might be able to get another push off of this pick on the Alley Cat from Apollo. This could be huge.
Yeah, that's the kind of start you're looking for. You're going to have the bubble soon to kind of keep yourselves in. 2 down, no strikes as well. That's very big. This bubble can go up uncontested as it goes right here. You're going to have a wave breaker as well to kind of disorientate the members of Crab and Go, able to get the ball and looking for even more. You see Fenrir able to get a kill on Alley Cat, but not a whole lot else, leaving Lime just by themselves. They're going to go down. So great job by High Tide of just responding to that and not allowing themselves to get kind of run down. And so far doing a great job of trying to respond, but maybe just a bit too hasty, because as you can see right here, Crab and Go trying to push, but High Tide just responding really well. They kind of let Crab and Go push into them, and guess what? They made a mistake, and now they couldn't get anything off of that. And the ball's gone, and both balls are gone actually.
Yeah, I mean, that economy for Crab and Go is kind of in the gutter at the moment. They don't really have a lot to work with at the moment, especially with LPS going down. It's going to be very difficult to get any momentum going. Now, on the positive end, they had 3 specials available, now down to 2, just trading out players, which, you know what, for now you're going to be able to take, especially when nobody's coolered up. The bucket of Cholo Loco is going to just move with Aiko here on the left-hand side, completely clear that entire left-hand side. It's just Lime left, I believe, against 2 players on UH. The strikes are coming through, going to shut off this leader, but there's no power clam to be scored just yet. Still trying to make some space, able to find one more pick, trade out. There's the power clam gone, but there's no follow-up just yet. We're going to have to get Alley Cat to go huge here, but no, Java's there to shut it down immediately, and Crab and Go are still in a pretty tough spot here, all things considered. They don't really have a power clam. They have about 30 seconds left on the clock as well, and this is where things really get dicey and can kind of break down for a team that's falling behind on Scorch Gorge.
I mean, yeah, but you see right here, they're gonna try to force a fight, but this bubble from Java is gonna be huge because it's gonna slow down not only Crab and Go's offense, but their ability to push and their ability to get any clams forward. Because now a bunch of clams that are on the plat of High Tide just unavailable to them. We're gonna see what they can do off of that. You see High Tide Crab and Go trying to go in. They're gonna go 3 down. It's just Aiko left trying to make a hero play, saving the ball, dipping and dodging and dancing. It's not going to be enough. And High Tide with a very, very strong statement, I will say, for game number 1, just holding it, just to make sure that ball doesn't have a chance of getting, saved. But High Tide doing a really great job of kind of countering Crab and Go, because I feel like the idea of Crab and Go's comp was to kind of overwhelm you with speed, right? They had no backline, of course. They had double strikes. They had splash on. They had these opportunities, these weapons, these kits, really, that can kind of force a fight in their favor and kind of force their way forward. But I think Lime on the leader, whether intentionally or not, just kind of scared them. Like, they hit a couple shots in the beginning of the game, which kind of set the tone really early. And I think that is what kind of slowed the game down enough for High Tide to take the win there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if your leader is hitting shots like we saw Lime doing so in the first minute, you're setting yourself up for so much success. Really just, like you said, setting the tone, making it known that, hey, we're not going to be able to wide swing and just completely disrespect this E-leader, especially for a comp that doesn't have much more range, any range that's longer than a Nautilus, which itself thrives off of fighting stuff that's lower range than it. It makes the job of the other team incredibly difficult, especially without a tacticooler. And there was just so much that High Tide had to keep pace with their comp. They had the leader constantly acting as a beacon. They had the Dapple Dualies, which has both the beacons itself and odd spots, like we saw Java specifically, that Decapitator, make great use of throughout the game, and the Tacticooler itself, as well as the Big Bubbler and a Booyah Bomb for stability. I mean, there's not really a weak point in terms of just kind of tempering the aggression and, mitigating how much they can be punished for their own aggression on the side of High Tide. I'm very curious to see how Crab and Go choose to respond to this, especially since, it's going to be, you're going onto zones on Barnacle and Dime, which is known to be a fantastic E-leader map. What do you think they're going to need to do here, Topic?
Okay, I will say kind of the first thing that comes to my mind when I saw Barnacle is Plat and Snipe. The league likes to go there a lot, right? If you get, I would say, either the Knot or the Bucket, because I think they keep the same weapons. I think their comp kind of works really well. You just have to be a bit more proactive in moving the E-leader. So I think having either one of those weapons, the Knot or the Bucket, try to go to Plat and clear that out, have Bucket in their street, clear out Snipe, and then once you're holding for Crab and Go, getting someone up on top left is important. If you get someone up there, even if it's for like a couple ticks of the zone, that's really big, because especially if you get like the blaster up there with the bubble, that's really big. You just kind of stall out the game a little bit, make it very uncomfortable for the leader to push forward and kind of force them to send another person to help out there, taking taking more resources away from the main objective, which is the zone. You can have the Not be up there as well, and be a distraction, because Not loves to just sit up there and bully weapons shorter range in it. But we're gonna see, no, we're not. There's a DC. We're gonna let let that get back into the lobby. But I think what I saw, Reef Slider or the Dreadringer. As a Dreadringer main, no bias here. I think this is one of Dread's best maps, just in general.
It's an incredibly strong map for Dread. You're able to play around the sides of the map incredibly well with your sloshes and everything. Reef Slider gets a ton of value, whether that's on the zone or fighting around it. You can really punish any kind of committal movement that the other team makes, especially on something like a lockout. For example, if you want to slide from the top of Plat into the lower area right underneath it, nobody's going to be able to get away from that Reef Slider. It's very, very strong for the Dreadringer. I also want to highlight, I think there's a substitution on Crab and Go here. I don't know what weapon the player that's subbing in is playing. I believe it's Rowan, who, if I recall, is a brush. But that will definitely make the leader's job a little bit harder if it is a brush to hit their shots, to kind of keep control of the rest of the map and just kind of lock everything down. However, we didn't see a leader from Lime that game. We saw a vanilla heavy Splatling, and that thing is very different than leader in terms of just the kind of things it can do.
Yeah, because I think in my not in my personal opinion, just in general, Heavy's strong right now. Can't lie, it is a strong weapon right now. It paints the zone really well, because I don't know if this map is a very small map, but I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, from your plat, Heavy can kind of paint the entire zone in one charge.
Yep.
Yeah,
it paints so much.
Yeah, you can paint the entire zone in one charge. So I think alongside that, it can play a bit more aggressive, right? Not as aggressive as, say, like a Mini or a Heavy Edit or a Not, but it can, support its front and mid liners from a lot closer up than Lime could with the leader, right? So I think that switch to Heavy kind of gives their backliner more agency, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, and it just allows them to be in a lot more places that that their team might need them. For example, say you want somebody to help you fighting just off the zone. A leader's not going to be able to move to that as efficiently or as quickly as a Heavy Splatling. And especially with the amount of paint this thing can put down, you will always have a ton of support in your fights, regardless of where they are. Already we see Lime getting a pick onto Ronin. There's that Dreadringer down from Crab and Go. The big bubbler onto the zone is going to help secure it, along with the player advantage pushing forwards. The Tri-Strikes on the zone, not quite going to paint it, as UA is already doing a fantastic job at just forcing everybody off of the zone. Lime's able to pressure, or deal with the pressure from the rushing 10 attack splatter shot. And while they have to drop down to that bottom left, still in a pretty solid spot, all things considered, even if Crab and Go have a slight lead at the moment.
Yeah, slightly, but that will slowly start to expand from the side of Crab and Go here. As you see, 3 members already going to go down for them. You see Java looking for this flank, is able to get Ronin down. Very, very clutch there, not allowing that Dread to kind of paint behind you. And we're going to see how High Tide kind of aggresses here, because like I said, they have that Heavy Edit that can play more aggressively, especially on this plat. They have the splashdown blaster as well, so you can kind of discourage any rushes, and so far it's working pretty well, because you see that that the University of Houston is pushed back, Crabro is pushed back, but they do have both double strikes. They have hexa strikes alongside Reef. They are gonna pop both strikes at the same time. Plus, Reef is able to get one down, Ronin in the zone, but not able to get anything off of it. I think those strikes were used a bit too far away, and the Reef was a bit too kind of isolated from that to kind of get anything off of that. So, kind of like we saw earlier in this game, High Tide just back in position. They're back on the plat, kind of forcing Crabro to push into them, and unfortunately, their all-out gambit, their all chips on black, just didn't work because all the specials kind of just got thrown to the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they were just a little bit too far back to help the Reef Slider cap the zone. After that recent patch from late January, Reef Slider's just not really able to paint the zone nearly as much. You know, you need some help, whether that's a suction bomb or a straight tri-strike or something. You still need just a little bit more to get that zone capped in your favor. And unfortunately, Crab and Go just didn't really have that available to them. Just using the strikes to clear the rest of the map. And after those strikes were used on the rest of the map, they just, they didn't win the fight that immediately ensued, and then Ronin got picked off. That's kind of where the retake just completely fell apart for them, and a bit of a difficult situation to be in as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what happened is kind of a little bit of panic set in, where the clock was ticking, and they're like, okay, we have all of our strikes. Let them go, let it rip, right? And I think just go. But I think what happened, what would have been more helpful was only using one set of strikes, because use one set of strikes, pop the Reef, get the second strike in closer to the zone, because we saw once that Reef Slider was popped, yellow everywhere. Mm-hmm. There was no blue. They saw it. They reacted to just the Reef Slider, because then again, the strikes were popped from so far away, no one could help it. So it was just Ronin on an island, and unfortunately, they got jumped.
Yeah, not a fun situation to be in. You're kind of hung out to dry as the Dreadringer. I'm sure, you said you're a Dreadringer player yourself. I'm sure you're used to that at a couple stages in the game.
Yeah. Undertow Spillway specifically. Oh, yeah. No names.
No. Undertow seems like, just a little off topic, but Undertow seems like kind of one of those harder maps for Dreadringer to work with. I've heard from a couple of Dread players at this point, where it's just like a little bit more uncomfortable. You can't paint the zone as easily. You're kind of split off, and it's easier for people to avoid the slider damage. It's interesting. I don't think we're going to Undertow for our game 3. No, we're going to Manta Maria, which in some sense is a little bit similar to Undertow in the sense that, like, the Reef Slider, if they opt for the Dreadringer again, explodes and takes up basically all of, like, street or bunker, but it's very easy to kind of just get out of the way of that too.
Yeah, especially around, like you said, street or a bunker, the wall is the Reef Slider's worst enemy, because someone can hide on either side and just kill you almost instantly. In terms of the game itself, I think if you are Crab and Go, I don't know. I like Reef Slider on this map because, like you said, it paints everything, and Dreadringer by itself, they have two sloshers. If you can sit on bunker, you can just paint, you just own street, right? Oh, yeah. You cannot go there, or else you will go down, right? I think that's very helpful. But I don't know, because they have the specials to push in, but it feels like they're using them too far away from any of the action. But we're gonna see. Okay, hold on. Paintbrush and 52. 52 makes sense.
Classic.
Yup, I'm gonna trust you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it dominate at H-Town Splashdown at all levels, really, whether it's Torby or just about anybody that picks the weapon. It is very, very strong. H-Town is just the premier region that uses it as well. So I'm very curious to see what Ronin can do to kind of represent it. So far, already taking up a lot of space, as well as just turning onto Java, able to find that first pick trade out with Aiko. And, I mean, so far, not doing a whole lot in mid, just generally for either team, but this is just really big setup for almost that Ronin just got right there. And even though the bubble is on the left hand or on the left side now, and Java's walking forwards, this is still a bit of a tough situation. They're not out of the woods and straight to the checkpoint just yet for High Tide.
I mean, yeah, Aiko, that one corner is very big. You saw they did get a kill, get a second one to kind of save the checkpoint. Shout outs to them. And now we're going to see if Crab and Go can kind of push off of that, because even though they did have a good start, they just couldn't capitalize on it. They kind of were held back in a sense by the Lime on the heavy splat lane, just making sure that they couldn't push forward here. But we're going to see what they can do. They have man advantage, they have space advantage, they have a nice double kill to kind of get this push started here. But you see that S-Splash just sharking and waiting on that bunker wall with that Booyah Bomb. Strikes are going to come out to kind of clear that street. It's going to work. One's going to go down. No one by the Rainmaker just yet, but still, they're still going to go down to, I believe, Lime. Yes, Lime with the flank, able to get it and pop it solo. Somehow, someway, getting one, getting two. Shout out Lime for basically solo stopping that push by themselves as a flanking backliner. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. That is such a fantastic angle from that sort of top right that you can take as a heavy-headed splatling. I mean, we saw Lime play it to basically perfection there, and has gotten High Tide all the way back in with the Rainmaker reset, trading out, make that 3 players down. It's just Ico.
Oh, no.
You know where this Nautilus is. The splashdown isn't going to find anybody. The S-Flash, though, is just trying to hunt, just looking for that same thing with Fenris on these dapple dualies, not quite able to get anything just yet. Everybody is sitting on this wall just trying to find that dapple. 2 players end up paying the price, though, make that a third. It's just Ronin left, and they gamble for the left checkpoint, but High Tide is able to run it right, and it's just Ronin left who goes down. Lime runs for that Rainmaker, gets an even larger lead, the Booyah Bomb to clear as well, and down to 40 points for High Tide. Topic, that's a pretty darn good push, and they might not even be done.
I don't think, well, they might be with these strikes here. You see Aiko trying to paint up. They're going to get flushed out, but the S-Plus, it's going to go down to a nice, 2 for 2 there for Ronin. But Lime the savior, once again, keeping Crab and Go just away. And this is a very, very dangerous spot if you are Crab and Go, because you see Lime just popping off, just staying alive, getting their team jumped, making sure that they can pop the Rainmaker and keep it going here, and just make sure they lost like very little momentum. In fact, they're gaining momentum as they've gained even more points from 40 to 14 and jumping out. So that right there, with 90 seconds left, that could basically be a game-winning push if High Tide kind of plays the way that they've been playing the entire time.
Absolutely. I mean, that is such a difficult place to push to if you are Crab and Go. You don't really have options like an Inkfact to keep the Rainmaker safe for that final stretch. You just have to rely on getting all the picks that you need. Already one onto Lime, looking for just that second one. Not quite going to find it. Fenris actually goes down. Never mind, but Java's behind, finds one in the big bubbler, looking for that second. Everybody's low. Not quite going to find it before Crab and Go breaks that checkpoint. The Booyah Bomb is there to clear the Rainmaker, but Aiko and Ronin are still here. Apollo's looking to shoot down from the top of bunker. It's a shooting gallery for the S-Blast, but they have to jump out as somebody's on that top side. The jump from Java gets picked off. Fenris, though, able to trade out. There's the splashdown burned pretty early, too, for Crab and Go.
It's just Lime.
We've seen Lime not this time, and Aiko is looking for that lead, just going a mad dash for it. Not quite going to find it as Java's there to clean it up. And with 30 seconds, Topic, it's looking close.
Yeah, strikes are ready. Choco gonna pop them on the Rainmaker, try to get it, but Lime playing some defense. Call him Kawhi Leonard with this defensive player of the year caliber plays here, just making sure that they're alive. They're gonna stop the Rainmaker once again. One-man army versus the world. There it is. The Rainmaker's gonna get popped and killed instantly. That was the Lime show. Honestly, just not only on the offensive side, staying on bunker, getting, I believe, 5 or 6 of the members of Crab and Go in a row to keep the push going. Not only that, they jumped out, and at the very end, just sitting on bunker and just playing incredible defense, just not dying, just keeping their eyes on the prize, making sure that nobody snuck through. You see, yeah, look, even in the replay here, Java goes down, Apollo trying to go, it goes down. It's just Slime getting to. You see the last two members just trying to flush him out, but not doing enough to kind of phase Lime, getting the third one, and that's all she wrote. So Lime, that you get game MVP. I don't care. That's game MVP worthy.
Absolutely. I mean, that was textbook heavy splatling play on Manta Maria. Fantastic work from Lime. You saw the little shimmy at the end there to dance in and out of that Paintbrush's range, just baiting them to try and go for that pick as well instead of for the Rainmaker shield pop. Excellent work from Lime. Really strong stuff. That put High Tide on game point, about to sweep Crab and Go. It is looking incredibly difficult for them to get anything going, but I believe we have one more mode to get through, and I think this might be a pretty good one for Crab and Go with the double strikes if they choose to use it on tower control, on Hagglefish Market as well.
Yeah, of course, everyone knows the top. Hold on. Wait, I do it the other way. Yeah, top right. So I have to picture it on. The top right side is very important there. You get someone up there. You kind of not get it for free, but you're it's a lot more likely you get that second checkpoint, because I feel like personally the second checkpoint is the biggest choke point of the map, because you're at such a disadvantage height wise and where it is, because you're kind of close to the enemy spawn. So if you can get past that, you kind of not win the game, but your chances of winning are very, very high. And I think if you're Crab and Go, honestly, I think you just kind of say, hey, you gotta throw everything in the kitchen sink at High Tide here. I think the double strikes are going to be very useful. They can paint really well. They can defend really well. It's just, it felt like especially that last game, it felt like they always were caught out 3 members. It felt like they were always, anytime that one member went down, 2 more followed not that far behind. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. It was just constant. It was like the heads of a hydra just constantly growing back for more people for Crab and Go to deal with, and they just weren't able to keep up with the pace of that. Again, between the beacons and the cooler and the heavy just randomly finding a flank, very, very difficult for them to kind of work with here. Now, it'll be hopefully a little bit easier. You'll see a lot of fights through mid on Hagglefish Market, but don't underestimate those sides. I guarantee we'll see Java at least go for one play on the left side in neutral. That'll be definitely something that Aiko, I would assume, needs to be aware of on that Nautilus, kind of acting as the pseudo backline for this team. Also, just Splashdown, for whatever reason, feels pretty solid at just clearing that bottom left if you don't want to swing it or peek with the Nautilus. Out of fear of getting one-shot by the decap. Very fair thing. Really not fun for the receiving party on that one.
I mean, honestly, I think, well, this is just me personally, but I like Vanilla not on this map a little bit more, because Rain is really good at clearing out the tent area, but we won't even see it. We're going to see something very different with V-Blast, very strong weapon. As you know, it's been buffed recently, so it's everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised. And also, the Crab Charger, a very aggressive backliner, and a backliner that is a dedicated backliner. So that's the first for Crab and Go, but so far they're gonna go 2 down instantly but get traded out. Ali is gonna go down as well to a flank by Java, like you were talking about earlier. And so far, even though they did go down early, High Tide, they're starting to roll.
Oh, absolutely. They are getting rolling, getting going. Java's got the big bubbler up on the left-hand side. They're almost at that second checkpoint, not quite going to get there as all of the tri-strikes come in. I'd assume that's all of them, surely, right? Apollo answers with the Booyah Bomb, and 3 players end up going down. It's just the Slosher left in the bottom right, forced to jump out with those tri-strikes again for Crab and Go. They're going to need those for this retake here pretty desperately as Apollo goes down to Chololoco, traded out, make that 2 for the Slosher, and that's going to be a massive retake, huge win for Crab and Go. They didn't even have to sacrifice the first checkpoint for that. Now Java is trying to still go for it anyways with the big goal, finds one under the Slosher, and this could be the checkpoint. Just a complete backdoor by the Decapitator, but Aiko's there to shut it down.
I mean, yeah, they're gonna have strikes soon as well, so maybe that bubble wouldn't have survived that long, but hey, we don't know. But you see from the side of Crab and Go, they have strikes, they're gonna pop it there, have Crab as well, along with the bubble. No, the bubble with another flank from Java. This left-hand side has been Java's home for the entire game. Another one on top of it.
Goodness.
Why not? They have just been able to go on that left-hand side and just do whatever they wanted, and so far, High Tide has been doing a really good job of just kind of capitalizing on that and making sure that what Java is doing and has been doing has not been going unappreciated. You see right here, they're still going though.
They're still hunting. They're still fighting for everything on this left-hand side. Have gotten almost solo High Tide through this first checkpoint twice now. And now the rest of the team is there to kind of set up the leader from Lime on that left-hand side. Java still fighting 3 all by their lonesome, forcing the Crab Tank, but the team is able to follow up. It's a 2-on-2 for the tower. Lime is still backing up the rest of the team with the leader. Fenris just playing a little bit further back on that Dapple, has the tactical cooler, just waiting for the jumps in for that. Aiko's going to have to back out here with the Crab Charger, risk being rushed. Alleycat, can you go huge here? Already finding one, looking for that second onto the S-Blast. Apollo's down, and it's only Fenris on this left-hand side. Again, dropped by Alleycat. Clutch play at the end there from the Blaster to kind of just stop the bleeding where they can. And now Crab and Go has another opportunity here, but there's already been 3 minutes elapsed through this game.
I mean, yeah, and you got to be very careful because you did go well on defense, but can you translate that to offense is the question here. But so far, they're answering the call quick. 2 members down. Fenris is looking for this pick on Ali. Not going to get it. Going to get cleaned up by a teammate. 2 down again. And Crab and Go, they're responding really, really well here. Cholo going in alongside Ali Cat, just doing a lot of chip damage with those AoEs, getting 2. And the lead on top of that. Lime, the last one left on this top left side. Or top right side, strikes coming out to at least protect the tower. It is going to work out for them and get to that third and final checkpoint, which they're able to do uncontested. Just Java going in, going down. Apollo is not able to stop the tower, and you know what? Crab and Go might be able to make this a set. They were down early, right? They were down early. They didn't lose. They didn't fold. They didn't, panic. They got a nice wipeout. They fought back and they just kept the stagger on to High Tide that entire push, and it worked out for them really well, as you saw.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having the Splat Charger there with the Crab Tank is incredibly useful as well, just especially for keeping momentum going. You drop one of your instant, just like one and done specials in the splashdown, but for it you have not only a charger, but now you have a Crab Tank that lasts for 8 or 9 seconds, and that's just absolutely massive for this team to have, as more stability, more things to go in with and fight, which is something you really, really need to have as a coolerless team. And it's really good to see that Crab and Go has found something that works, especially going into, I believe, Clamblitz on Inkblot Art Academy. Going to be very tough to kind of fight, especially against Java on that decap. We saw them going ham on that most recent game. Didn't end up in a win, but, especially with these flanks on Inkblot, you can get up the rail and score 40, 60 points even if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, and I think what Crab and Go did a better job of in that last game than the first 3 is that they kept eyes on Java, right? They didn't let them go less crazy as they did the first 3. They didn't let them run wild, basically.
Yeah.
Like they kind of kept them controlled. And also, I think the switch up to Crab Charger, like you said, it's very stable. It's a lot of pressure for a very long time, and also it gives them an answer to leader, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives them such a great answer leader because before the leader, it was easy pickings, right? They could because they couldn't really be contested other than the strikes, but the strikes are just like are kind of instant in a way. Like you pop them, they explode for like half a second, they're gone, right?
Yeah,
But
you
with
need
crab, yeah, you lose instantly. But with that crab, you have that consistent, like you said, like 8 to 9 second pressure, forcing that leader to move to a very uncomfortable spot for them.
Yeah, especially just that sustained pressure that you don't really have with the Nautilus is super important to have. Going into Inkbot Art Academy, it can be pretty difficult for both those weapons to get a lot of mileage out of any of that unless you get an early fight win on mid and just play around the stacks. Especially leader can often struggle with, just people giving it a hard time, just forcing it to maybe whiff a shot, just due to it being pressured so much. This map is very, very tight on the sightlines, especially around the sides of the map. I'm curious to see if Lime switches back to that heavy edit, or the vanilla heavy splatling that they were running earlier. That could be a really, really solid pick here, but then you have to worry about what if Ico brings back the camo charger. That's a really, really difficult, like incredibly so, for the heavy to deal with. I'm very curious to see. We have a nice little game of backline chess going on, and let's see what we end up with.
Yeah, bringing out that heavy, that more mobile, that
Oh,
more aggressive option. And interestingly, going back to not, but not the splashdown, not the rain, not. It makes sense. Rain covers up and gives that sustained pressure over plat that you really, really want to see here. So let's see. Maybe this changes what they need, that sustained pressure to keep Lime kind of moving, keep them away. Let's see if that's going to work out for them. And so far, with this mid fight, it's going to work as Apollo's going to go down, 2 going to go down. So Crab and Go, off rip, a good start for them.
absolutely, and already trying to pinch onto Fenris here. Ico and LPS able to find that trade. Java trades right back, and Cholo Loco is just trying to keep this space in mid. It's a 2v3, but High Tide are a little bit wary of just dropping down into mid without knowing where this Blaster and where this Slosher are. Now that they've located them, now we can just look for a little bit more map control to be taken by Alabama here. And so far, so good. Another pick in favor of High Tide. Not many clams to work with, though, but they have the Tactical Cooler, they have a Booyah Bomb, and a Big Bubbler for some more stability. They could definitely stay around here for quite a while and take this fight. There's Alley Cat down. Apollo's looking to pop the Booyah Bomb, but the Tri-Strike's right on top of that, forcing a trade. 2 players down, though, on the side of Crab and Go. Traded out immediately by LPS. A whole lot of fighting in the middle of the map, and nobody's really come out on top just yet.
I mean, yeah, just very, very back and forth. You saw High Tide had an opportunity there, but they're not gonna. They're even though they didn't get the opportunity that they were looking for, they are still in here. They are still have mid. They've still forced Crab and Go onto their plat, and they haven't really allowed them to leave kind of unscathed. And so far, looks like Crab and Go is gonna try to push back on that, kind of get into mid, but Lime just sitting there, kind of being that guardian is gonna work out at least for a little bit longer, and just keeping Crab and Go away from mid. Looks like that's finally going to break. They're able to get back into it, but can they push any forward is the question here, because even though they've had opportunities in mid, it feels like they really haven't had the chance to get any further. It feels like they've kind of been not stuck, but a little bit in molasses. But so far, this opportunity here looks like the perfect opportunity for them.
Yep, all of the specials coming through for Crab and Go. The Tri-Strikes, the Big Bubblers gets 1 power clam in and a couple of more clams, but High Tide is right back there with the fight. A jump in as well, but Ico's there to punish. Again, just multiple players just constantly dropping. Java's in, finds 1, finds 2, looking for that 3rd on the jump camp, trades it out. Big trade from Alley Cat. That's going to give Crab and Go a lot of mid control here, Topic, especially with LPS already there.
I mean, yeah, well, not anymore. Okay. But yeah, that trade really did help in just slowing down High Tide for a little bit here, but it looks like Lime kind of taking matters into their own hands, being this aggressive force for High Tide is going to work out, at least for now, as they're able to just, keep up this pressure on this left hand side and kind of force Crabbing on the right. It's going to work out for a second here, but not for long, because you can only stay in one spot for so long before you get punished for it, and they get punished really hard, because now Crab and Go, they're back into mid. They have a power, a couple more clams on the way. This could be an even bigger push and even bigger lead for them.
Yeah, we're already down to 50 points here with another clam to possibly stall the basket a little bit longer for Aiko to get 3 more in. Just opting for the fight. There we go. There's a couple more just to keep this push going, as well as the Slosher finding 1 pick. Make that possibly a second. Lime has dropped, and Apollo's here just raining down burst bombs from the top left, but it's not going to be enough. Aiko's still there, just scoring as any clams that they can find on the plat, as well as finding a pick on Defenders. This is absolutely massive. Java's just going to survive on 1 HP, but Cholo Loco is still scoring. They have 20 points remaining. LPS opts to just back off, play it a little bit safer. Only 50 seconds left. We don't want to give just any free mid control to High Tide here. We've seen what they can do with just 1 scoring opportunity before. And Crab and Go, really, really smart, excellently played push there at the end.
I mean, yeah, they didn't put all the chickens in one basket, or the eggs in one basket. They didn't try to extend it any further, because they got a really good push. 80 points is a fantastic lead, but can you hold it is the question here. They are going to go 1 down, but they do have a strikes out to kind of cancel out that Booyah bomb, or make sure that bubble doesn't get used immediately. Here you see 2 members down for this side of Crab and Go. The Booyah bomb's going to come out for High Tide, looking to go in here. Strikes come out to slow them down a little bit. It's going to work. Apollo's in the plat. Lime with the ball, able to get 1-2 down. However, that's going to slow them down really, really nicely here. Overtime has begun. Java with a nice pick, looking to find their way in with that bubble as well to set up on the plat. Apollo's going to be with them, forcing their way onto placking a lot of damage up. Bubble's going to be popped, just going to run it in, but running into a buzzsaw is going to be the members of High Tide, and they're a couple inches too short. And Crab and Go, okay, you know what? I think they found their thing. I think what happened, they now have these sustained specials. They had Crab last game. They have Rain in this game. So this sustained pressure has been working out. And honestly, this is they brought this back in my mind. They're bringing this back.
It's looking pretty good for them, KO the first game that they won, 80 points to nothing the second game. I mean, they have stolen this momentum away from High Tide. The tide is no longer rolling. It is dead, still going into zones on Mako Mart here. And if there's any map that is really, really good for a lot of tri-strikes, this has to be one of the best ones for it here, Topic.
Yup, I gotta agree. The Hexa Strikes goes kind of crazy on this map. Blaster goes kind of crazy on this map with the bubble as well. Now, I think that they keep the Vanilla Knot, because once again, you can reign over any of the stacks. You can reign over Plat. You can reign over Freezer. Just that sustained, like I said earlier, that sustained pressure has been working out really, really well. That little chip damage here and there has been allowing Crab and Go to take these fights more confidently with the strikes, with the bucket, with the blaster, to just get picks. And so far, it's been working out. But I don't count High Tide out of it just yet. Things can change in an instant. They still have very aggressive weapons. They have the Dapples. They have the decaf, and Lime just in general being really aggressive on that heavy edit. So on that heavy splatling. So this could go either way. But if Crab and Go keeps this momentum, we could be seeing a Game 7.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, we can't count out how High Tide at all. I mean, there's a reason why they're on match point and have been for the past couple of games here. But I mean, that momentum is all in Crab and Go's hands right now. It's their game if they want it. And especially with the double AoE that they've been running, the Blaster and the Slosher, it's just incredibly difficult for High Tide to fight into that. Dapple Dualies don't really have the best time, especially into the Slosher. It can kind of just flick, and your teleports all of a sudden don't really matter all that much. A couple other things, the Decapitator might be running into a couple issues dealing with the Blaster. Really good at spacing around those ledges, makes it difficult for a decap to kind of retake especially. I'm very, very curious to see how High Tide answers Crab and Go going into this game, but the shoe is definitely on the other foot at this point here.
Yeah, I think even for High Tide, I think their comp does decently because they have S-Blast. S-Blast, great map for it. You got ledges. You got the slopes, very good. Decav, I don't play Decav, so I'm not entirely sure, but I know it struggles a lot with ledges, or not with slopes. So maybe it's a bit weaker. I think personally this is a really good Dapples map because you have the cover, you could just move around really well. Like, you have enough things blocking you where any backliner or anyone has to kind of deal with you kind of going from object to object. But enough speculation. Let's see what these decides to bring back the Dreadringer for that Reef Slider. Maybe not able to cheese it, but at least get a lot of paint down on the enemy on High Tide side. But we're gonna see how they open up here, and almost immediately High Tide bringing the fight to Crab and Go, but able to respond almost instantly and actually kind of win the fight, going 3-2 here.
Yeah, and LPS finds Fenris on that top right as well. The strikes going through to just push Lime further back into a really difficult position to fight from. Is able to find LPS, but immediately Apollo is traded out. Crab and Go are still riding that momentum from the past couple of games. Java's now on the bottom left side, but you're fighting a Dreadringer that has massive height advantage. You're both hit for half of your HP already, and now the rest of the team has rotated over a set of strikes to further dissuade things. Apollo is gone again, who switched to the Custom Blaster, but hasn't found much value yet in the splashdowns. And so far for Crab and Go, it's more of the same from them. They have two specials that they're ready for the hold. I'm really not looking forward to seeing this Dreadringer possibly find 3 if it's used at the right time on the left-hand side.
I mean, we're going to see here this holding that reef instead, but Fenrir is going to go and get one. Ronin just popping that reef to keep the zone. A couple more ticks is going to work out, but unfortunately not able to get anything else off of that. So High Tide able to finally break through that hold and get on the enemy side here, but can they get any further? Because you know that Crab and Go is going to be watching underneath that plat very hard here. You got the Hexa strikes at the ready as well, popping one of the strikes to clear out the stack is going to be very helpful. Second strikes to clear out this zone along with the Reef Slider. The Reef Slider cancel the splashdown. No splashdown for you. And that is going to be just enough to get Crab and Go this zone and possibly a little bit further. But it looks like they're going to just, they're going to relinquish the fact that they can't get as far. But hey, that was a great retake.
Oh, absolutely. And the Reef Slider there, excellent work canceling the splashdown, because that could have gotten 2 players if you're not careful on the side of Crab and Go. Already, though, Apollo finds a direct on the Ico with a beautiful Squid Surge, looking for a little bit more. The splashdown comes through yet again, not quite going to find anything, but spaces things out. The Slosher is half HP, but so is Apollo, who opts to jump out. High Tide now has the control of the zone, but they don't have full control of the middle of the map. You still see Cholo Loco, that Slosher still just being a menace on that left-hand side. Java also has to jump out, kind of sacrifice a little bit of that space on the left. And now Crab and Go with that first set of strikes, they use them on the front of the zone. Where's that second set going? It's going a little bit to the right to clear out Fenris. The slider comes through onto the zone, but Ico is going to have to go huge here. Finds one, pops the Ink Storm just to stall a little bit more, get a little bit more chip onto Java, who is now down to half HP. Ico has to 1v3 though on this left-hand side, and Apollo's there to shut things down on the blaster. LPS manages to trade Java in the meantime, and Apollo isn't able, just barely is able to find the direct actually, and High Tide, they still have control of the zone after a very scrappy fight in mid.
Yeah, very scrappy indeed, working through their penalty points, trying to at least I think their goal here is to make Crab and Go use your specials away from the zone, make them use them at a kind of panicky in a sense, and so far just holding on to both strikes, popping both of them at the same time on the zone everywhere, and the reef side able to get the zone, looking to get the space around it, is not quite able to do it. So even though they did get the zone, they just stalled the inevitable, because you see right here, even though they did cap it, look, 3 down with Aiko on the run. Was it really worth it? And I think it was, but at the same time, you got punished really, really hard for just throwing everything at the zone and not kind of going around the zone as well, because you just gave High Tide so much space, and now they got a lead and they're looking to end this game.
Yeah, that Reef Slider's not going to paint all the zone itself. The Tri-Strikes will be able to flip it, but Java's already found one, looking for that second for the 3 players down. The Slosher is just barely able to get out. Never mind! Java's able to get the 180. Ronin's just trying to get onto the zone. Aiko goes down. Java's still on that left and is able to get another melee onto the unsuspecting Ronin. 30 seconds left here, and High Tide are looking to close this out. LPS not quite able to find Apollo. The Splashdown's not going to find anything. Aiko's on this left-hand side, able to get a pinch onto Apollo. Fenris diving. The strikes are going onto the zone. You have to move here if you're Crab and Go. Fenris still just kiting around 3, is able to find one. Java finds 2. It's just Ronin who's half on the zone, has it all to do. And with the wipeout, High Tide are going to close things out 5-2 here for tonight.
I mean, yeah, it was a bit. You see a little bit of dancing as I was celebrating. Yeah, it was a bit scary for High Tide, because let's not lie, Crab and Go had them on the ropes early. They got a fantastic hold down to what I believe 28 or 27 points.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. They got basically like 75 points in one push, but High Tide, I gotta admit, they kind of played really well. They kind of, on retakes especially, they got picks. They won their fights, they got picks, and then when Crab and Go wanted to push back in, they allowed them to get the zone, but really smartly, they didn't let them get anything else. They got zone, not the stacks, not the court, not the low alleys, not the freezer. They just got zone, and they got punished really hard every time they did it.
Yeah, we have to highlight again the Decapitator from Java, able to find so many picks on that left-hand side, just constantly finding just these random little sneaky fights, whether it's a melee onto a retreating Slosher or randomly, catching the dropping 10 attack splatter shot. It really excellently done, made that entire hold for High Tide work and got them all the way through to the end. Excellent work. Again, shoutouts to the rest of High Tide as well. They were able to weather that storm of the Hexa strikes, like you just were talking about. All 6 of them went on the zone at the same time, but they didn't cap for that long, did they?
Nope, because like I said, they strikes themselves don't paint that much, right? They're just deceptively not painting. So I shout out High Tide. They just kind of painted through it. They painted through it as best they could, even though, yes, they did lose zone. It wasn't for long, like you said.
Yeah, they were able to just kind of recenter after any of those zone caps, whether that was from the slider or from the strikes. Find those fights as well at the end. Excellent work to High Tide. They're going to close things out 4-2 for tonight here and move to 1-1. Crab and Go, not where you'd expect to see them this early into the season at 0-2. But they still have a good bit of time to bounce back. I'm very excited to see how they do going forwards in the season. They're going to be a team to watch. Both these, but Crab and Go, they're going to go into week 3 with a chip on their shoulder here, Topic.
I think any competitive person knows that going down 0-2, it sucks. Going down 0-3, it's life or death at that point. It hurts. It's life or death. So, like you said, I think for Crab and Go, you played some close games. Especially games 3 to the last one were close games. So maybe go back to the drawing board, see what happened. Maybe get a little bit of coaching to see what you can clean up, what went wrong, and then guess what? You're back at it next week. So can't keep it down too long.
Yeah, but speaking of back at it next week, that's going to do it for us here. That's going to do it for us here tonight. And with that being said, Topic, where can the lovely people find you after this broadcast?
Yeah, you can find me over on the right there at topical2.bluesky.social. I post. Well, right now I'm just me and a friend are going back and forth because I think it's funny. You can also find me in person at Anarchy Nova number 3 on on March 28th. Which is also the LAN championship qualifier. So I know if you're gonna be there, if you're in the Washington D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, come by, say hi. It'd be a great time. But that's enough for me. Kari, what about you?
You can find me just like you see at the bottom of your screen right here, at Signakari, whether that's Twitch, Discord, Blue Sky, Twitter, YouTube, any of that stuff, at Signakari, like you see at the bottom of your screen. I will also be going to a LAN championship qualifier soon, but in Chicago instead at Scheichel's on I believe the 21st. So I'm very excited to see people there. A lot of friends are going, a lot of familiar faces. Show up, support your locals, especially all of you.
Support your locals.
Everybody supporting your locals.
Go your locals.
Absolutely. Huge shout out to OmaZen, our stream runner today as well. I think you might be going to Scheichel's as well. Shout out to Purdue LAN, which is in a couple of months if you're in the area and a collegiate student. May as well go, maybe get your team. And with that being said, it's been fantastic work with it's been fantastic casting with you tonight, Topic.
Same to you.
That's all from me.
Yeah, that's it for me as well. We will see y'all guys next week for even more CCA action for week 3. And as you know, everyone, get back to them books. Midterms is coming, but guess what? Splatoon is always gonna be here.